for the sake of Twitter, I mean, it's all horrible things. It's all shit. It's bad things, you know, not like, you know, it's things that are like out of your control. And, or drama through like the stupidest shit ever. You know, every time you're on Twitter and you have any sort of like Twitch, you know, post anywhere, it's just drama. Everything is drama. It is. It's like we're all stuck in high school. You know, if it's not that, it's, I mean, you know, there are a lot of bad things going on in the world, and hopefully all that stuff kind of resolves, but don't think it ever will. I don't want to be angry. You know, that's kind of the reason I'm not really on Twitter too much anymore. Or even, like, part of the League scene. It's just because everything is so negative, and it's just kind of like an echo chamber, and it's all so toxic. It's like no one's really... You know, I guess some things can be seen as fun, sure, but, you know, being a part of, like, League Twitter and having the word cancer and, you know, retard and shit thrown around every 2 seconds, and, like, all of its drama, all of its nonsense, all of its high school crap, it's just not something I want to be a part of, you know? Like, there are good people in communities, there are good people on social media, there are, you know, posts that you want to engage with, but when you've been around all that shit for so long, you kind of just get tired of it. So, you know, it's just like, all right, I was 16 at one point, I get it. You know, now we're like 30, okay? Not gonna sound like a Debbie Downer all the time, but, you know, you gotta grow up eventually. Obsessed with gossip, it's so silly. Whatever brings you joy throughout your day, you know, if you are a drama fiend and all that stuff, if it gives you some sort of fulfillment, I can't speak on that. That's your life, that's how you enjoy your day. You know, in your own way, great, if that fulfills you. For me personally, it doesn't do anything for me. I just want to be away from it, you know, more often than not, right?
Jailbreak, perhaps.
Jailbreak. I kind of want to do... I'm kind of down for Mafia. I'll do Mafia, not Jailbreak. Mafia. Maybe Jailbreak next game. Curson, hello. I mean, I just laugh at people, too, who want to get mad at me in League. I mean, it's just like, dude, we've been there so many times. But, you know, everyone's life is so different, and you kind of have to accept that. Not everyone's going to agree with you. Not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to be on your side or have the same views as you. The idea is respect people, respect their own opinions on things, even if it is kind of bonkers, batshit. And, you know, don't lose sleep over nonsense. You live your life, they live theirs. And at the end of the day, all we want to do is be happy. That's it! Don't let no one tell you different. Hey, thanks, man. I just do my thing. That's it. You know, there will be people in this lifetime who will despise your existence. It is what it is. Tough shit. Kellerman, 2 months. Thanks, man. Your word in God's ear. His ears. Fuck Vein Top. See, I agree with that. Story mode for League? Well, that's exactly what the Rune King was. The Rune King is like a story mode for League.
Seconds until minions spawn.
One needs to earn the right to an opinion on a given field. Not really. Having an opinion of anything doesn't make it valid, but it lets people speak their mind. I don't think you need to earn the right to have an opinion. I mean, there are opinions that are a lot more logical than others, sure. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with people speaking their mind. You know, a lot of people will disagree with a lot of opinions, sure, but I'm not going to sit there and fucking argue with you. That's what Twitter's for. I think you should do your research, is maybe what you're saying. You know, you earn the right to speak through just kind of looking into it. A lot of Twitter is just surface level, you know, something happens, oh god, let me just, you know, instantly type what I'm thinking, instead of looking into it and, you know, giving it a chance and stuff like that. Analyze. Reflect. Do a bit of research, sure. You know, you don't need to jump the gun and instantly yap about something. You can kind of think it through. That's what I've done a lot lately, is think things through and not be, you know, incredibly blunt. Jesus. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. Misery. That was sad. Weird. Imagine Swain dying to Graves and Lore. How would that ever happen? Noxus losing to one lowly fucking random shit thug from Bilgewater. The entirety of the kingdom gone! Well, I mean, not the entirety of it, but, you know, they got the Black Rose, obviously, but... where would they be without their figurehead? Having a Hextech shotgun helps. It's anything but Hextech, bro. It is not Hextech. Unfortunately. Live action Bilgewater? That would be good, yeah. I'm hoping it is live action. Well, we know it's live action, but I'm hoping it's Bilgewater. I would still like to be a fucking, like, background extra in that show, but, you know, it's currently, I'm sure, underway, and, you know, things have been filmed and stuff like that, but I want to see the props. I would love to see the physical props that they're going to be making. That would be fucking cool. Just imagine the outfit for, like, GANGPLANK or TF or Graves or any of that stuff. That would be awesome. Live action CG? Well, you know, for a Bilgewater show, you don't need CG. Like, I think you could pretty much build, like, everything you want. Maybe Fishmen or something. You know, Vestayan or whatever. Could be CG'd, but... I'm fine with anything in that show, man. If it was Bilgewater and it was confirmed, I would want to be in the show doing anything. I don't care. Anything. I'll do anything. Put me in the background fucking eating dirt for all I care. Have me die to GANGPLANK as the opener. I don't give a fuck. I just want to be in the show. It's Bilgewater. You know, it's my favorite thing. It's what my career was pretty much built off of. You know? The backs of good Bilgewater citizens. I am making a Graves prop / costume right now. That's cool. Post it in the Discord. That's awesome. If I had to own a Graves prop, it would probably be the shotgun. Because that technically is Graves. Or his poncho. That'd be dope. TF is his hat. GANGPLANK's his hat or his weapons. I've got his weapons. Gerard Butler as Graves. Graves is short. Graves ain't so big. He's very wide, but not very tall. Like, I really don't know who the hell they'd get, honestly.
If you have a contact in Riot, ask them nicely. At best,
I will.
you get to star in it. At worst, they say no.
Yep.
Nothing to lose.
No, you're right. And I do have contacts at Riot.
An enemy has been slain.
Or rather, the LPP. I don't have them on speed dial, but... Wide but short, that's you. I'm 6 foot, bro. I'm a thick beast, but 6 foot.
An enemy has been slain.
Listen, I had an old lady run from me in broad daylight. I'm a freak, okay? One look and she bolted. I am a behemoth of a man. Very scary. It was your smell. She just looked at me and she's like, oh god. I think it was, I had my hood on and I was listening to music and my head was down. But I guess she thought I was a thug. I don't know. That was in high school. This was like over 10 years ago, I believe, right? Canonically, Graves is 5'9". He's whatever, I would say whatever he is in like that one Wild Rift cinematic. He's a little bit of a, he's not like a manlet, but he's not very tall.
An ally has been slain.
Compared to TF at least. TF's pretty lanky. Graves has Wolverine energy. I thought the same thing too. Yeah, that's what he kind of reminds me of. Except Wolverine, if he was a bit more, you know, like a meathead. Didn't think things through a little bit. I would say, see, A New Dawn is weird because that is, A New Dawn is not what he should be. Whatever A New Dawn is not really canonical. I mean, you could even say the Wild Rift cinematics aren't very canonical, but since they are the latest version of the characters, and they actually follow the lore, crazily enough, I would say that's more in line with, like, what they would be. A New Dawn is a little bit dated. I mean, you've got Nautilus the size of a tree, whereas Nautilus is like, you know, this dude pulls fucking ships under with his hands, so... And A New Dawn is like old school Graves, right? That is the gruff, mean-spirited Graves. You know, him and TF haven't reconciled their, you know, past and whatnot. He's pretty bitter. Fuck off.
An enemy has been slain. Killing spree.
I do miss the mean Graves. The older, What? I guess it makes sense that he wouldn't be so mean anymore, you know? He was really just pissed off because TF kind of left him to die. So, lore-wise, it makes sense. Galio's... I mean, go look at his splash art, you'll see it. If you want to know how big Galio is, just take 2 seconds to look at the entire image of classic Galio, and you'll see how big he is. He's fucking huge. He's like the size of a skyscraper. That's a big fucking character. Well, ASOL's the size of, you know, a planet, whatever it may be. But League of Legends has nothing to do with the lore. League of Legends is the arena where all these characters from Runeterra can battle for fun. You know, whatever you see in this game isn't really, you know, lore-friendly, you could say. I mean, LeBlanc's character model's fucking massive. I don't know if you've seen the new LeBlanc. She's the size of, like, GANGPLANK. So, you know, you do have to kind of watch cinematics and, you know, pick through various things to kind of get a gist of what these characters are lore-wise, but... Well, you can only do so much with a MOBA. You can't represent everyone properly. Runeterra, or sorry, Legends of Runeterra is, you know, an easier medium to kind of get on with that stuff, right? It's all based on artwork. You have room to kind of be as creative as you want, whereas in this game you have to kind of restrict yourself with, you know, the gameplay, right? I like that this is a backdrop for, like, the lore. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, do you like the world of Runeterra? Well, go play the characters in a MOBA. Even though they develop the game and then the lore kind of afterwards, but... Well, they didn't kill the game. The game is not as creative as it once was, but, you know, that's fine. I miss it. You know, hopefully with the MMO, they'll go back to being, a little bit more crazy with, like, game mechanics and stuff like that. As MMOs typically are. I mean, LeBlanc is not a big chick, though. She's not a big woman. If you want a big woman, go see, like, Alawi. LeBlanc is some, you know, witch. Some smaller woman. WoW is turning it... Ghostcrawler was turning it into WoW with a League skin. You know, World of Warcraft is the greatest MMO of all time. There is no denying that. For a guy who worked on that game, you know, it does make sense that the lead of that game would try and make League of Legends kind of like WoW. Would I hate that? Not really. But you do need to keep it fresh. You have to keep it, you know, different and exciting. And Riot typically does take something that's already made and kind of, like, tweak it. So, if they took the WoW formula but put their own Riot flair to it, I mean, that'd work. Fuck. I don't even know what just happened. I don't know what that was. I, like, lagged. But my PC was fucking breaking. I don't know. I don't even know what that was. I just stopped playing. Frozen in time.
An enemy has been slain.
WoW style. WoW works for like everything though. I think WoW is kind of, you know, if you want to make an MMO and you want to make it work, you have to look at WoW. Not saying, you know, go off and copy everything WoW did, but like WoW is the most successful, you know, MMO.
Has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Dude, the second you can become a part of Runeterra and have professions like in WoW, I mean, that is... Ooh. That is something. What do you like about WoW specifically? Just everything is very open-ended. You have a lot to do in WoW. I mean, that's obvious for MMOs, but, you know, it's the coolest fantasy setting for me of any MMO. And you could say, well, same thing with, you know, Warhammer Online and stuff like that, Lord of the Rings Online. You know, a lot of the MMOs that I see are typically like weeby games. WoW is not weeby. WoW is just like straight up D&D-esque, you know, Warhammer, like, it's just fantasy stuff. I'm pretty sure the content, though, for MMOs are typically the same. Oops, I should have warded.
Enemy double kill. Shut down.
Genshin would be huge if it was actually multiplayer. I will never see the appeal to Genshin. I don't like that style of character. Everything feels so shallow, surface level goon bait. It doesn't feel like anyone has personality. It's just kind of like manufactured to be appealing. It's really just not my style. But you know, that's fine. That's an opinion. That's an opinion. Well, you could say League of Legends is gooner bait. Not really. There's more uniqueness to League's roster than there is a Genshin Impact roster. All the Genshin Impact characters are like fucking 8 years old visually and have like, you know, crazy chromid-colored outfits. They just all look the same. It's like they have no personality whatsoever. Like, the coolest thing about characters is when they really stand out on their own. You know, you could say, oh, this character's got a great personality, sounds way cooler than the others, and, you know, oh, she's got, like, the blue eyes and she's got the green eyes, but, like, we're talking legitimate designs. Things that are vastly different. Like, League has very distinguishable characters. Of course, they've got problems. You know, a lot of the faces meld into each other. A lot of typical, you know, less clothing means more gooning, means more money. Whatever, right? Like, okay, it's a business, it's gamers. But League does a very good job at giving characters their own unique identity through visuals, through lore, through all that stuff. It's a good individual package per character, usually. The music, all that stuff is excellent. Yeah, if you look at a Genshin Impact, you know...
Marvel Rivals leaned into the Guna bait.
It did. I mean, Marvel's always been, you know, sexualized. Comics for ages have always had scantily clad women and everything. It's always been, you know, up there in terms of, you know... Oh my god, oogling, right? Ooh! But that's what gamers want. You know, and that's not to say that, you know, some characters aren't just inherently like that through the comics. You know, if you serve the character, If that's what the character is, I mean, that's not a problem. Oops.
An enemy has been slain.
Regardless, you know, I'm not going to sit here and complain about everything. It's just an opinion. It doesn't lose me sleep. But, you know, we all like what we like, and I just prefer characters that kind of stand out on their own and look vastly different, sound different, have different lores, whatever it may be. You know, I don't like surface level gooning or shallow characters that, again, feel like they're more of a product than anything. It's like, how do we make gamers fall in love with this character? It's like, oh my god, give her less clothing. You know, you'll see a lot of shit like that in games, and it's just garbage. Or you just make great characters. You know, that's the better side of things. You know, I don't know. I like believable universes. You know, if the universe you've created in Genshin Impact has everyone looking the same with, you know, whatever aesthetics going on, I guess that serves the universe, but it just seems a little bit too fabricated. It doesn't seem like it's an honest thing. You know, you serve the players, it's a business, great, give the players the gooning stuff, but to me that devalues the world you've created. It just feels like it's full of things that are meant to appease players but not give the world any sort of life, you know? Iad, hello. Tom, Bard, Rengar. No, those are great. There's a lot of cool characters. I mean, Rengar's okay. I mean, Bard's excellent. Ivern is excellent. Rek'Sai's excellent. Tom Kench. Tom Kench is one of the coolest characters in this game. Some giant, fat, fucking, you know, catfish demon. I mean, it doesn't sound insane, but, like, with what you've got going on in this world, it's so cool. And he's kind of a thug. You know, the guy literally lives out of Bilgewater. You know, he's a very shady, scary person. I'm surprised you don't get more of that, to be honest. I wasn't a fan of Aurora. I think Aurora was like the last monster-esque champ that we got. I'm pretty sure they announced her as a monster, you know, a bunny girl. Like, that aesthetic is just so pandered. That Aurora's aesthetic is purely pandered to, like, you know, yeah, it doesn't seem like a very honest-looking design, you know? And that's fine. Again, Riot is a business, and you have to appease the players to make any money and get anywhere, so... You know, I understand their reasoning, but I just don't agree with her aesthetic. I think it's kind of a little bit outlandish. Oh, Mel's excellent. Mel's great. Mel is a character that exists and, you know, is very believable. Like, we don't know why Aurora has thigh highs and, you know, big bulging thighs, and she's like a autistic bunny mage and stuff like that, and it's just... I don't know. It's a bit strange. But, you know, again, everyone can have their opinions. People agree with it, people disagree, and that's art. You know, art's always subjective. Not everything that people create will resonate with everyone, and that's valid. That's fine. The biggest thing, though, in terms of creating something is, you know, someone out there will enjoy it. Someone out there loves Aurora. And that's not you know, an invalid thing. That's not a problem. It's just their opinion. Jesus. It's not invalid, but 90% of them are gooners, so it makes it bad. You know what? The biggest thing is, as long as you're happy, that's number one. What you're interested in doesn't ruin my day. It doesn't ruin my mood. I don't like that. That's it. Some people, I'm sure, love Aurora. Some people love Hui. Some people love Vigo. Some people love characters that, you know, are a little bit, in my opinion, more surface level-y, you know, very audience-related visually. And that's fine. That's awesome. If you love that stuff, great, man. I'm not going to rain on your parade, but, you know, we like what we like. That's what art is. Art is very subjective. We agree, we disagree, we chat about it. There isn't one thing on this earth that will resonate with everyone, period. World peace. What do you mean world peace? We have the Joker, bro. Joker he don't want no world peace. People want to drop bombs on the earth. Not everyone wants world peace. There are some really bad eggs. Some people truly are, you know, not very good people. Ezreal's cool. He's fine. Not my favorite character in game, but, you know, dude goes off trying to pilfer some artifacts. Jesus. Jhin is amazing. Jhin, you know what? I think anyone with a brain cell can agree that Jhin is one of the best designed characters in this game. Gameplay, lore-wise, uniqueness, everything about Jhin oozes passion. Everything about Jhin oozes, you know, art at its peak. I disagree? You're crazy. Jin's a fucking freak of a character. It's so well done. It's awesome. I don't even like... I'm not interested in playing Jhin, but I can appreciate what they made with this character. It's excellent. It's so unique. It stands out on its own, 100%. Human characters are inherently predictable in design? Not necessarily. Is Jhin a predictable design? Jin's a really weird left fielder. You can have your typical Bilgewater thugs, you know, your noble Demacians, you know, your warring fucking Noxians and whatnot, but, like, I mean, you're gonna have some really weird oddball characters that end up being human. Victor's a fucking strange one. Jin's a strange one. Who else is kind of fucking weird as a human? Pike? Not really. I'd have to think that through, but, you know, I think the world could need, I mean, this game needs more monster champs, for sure. Does the audience want more monster champs? I mean, I don't think so, but Echo's pretty cool. I've always been a fan of people creating things and kind of working with their technology. You know, I'm not really a fan of magic, more so, like TF's a mage, but he's got tools of the trade, right? He's got his cards that he channels magic through and all that crap. I don't think there's any, like... Are there any traditional mages in this game that don't channel things through something? We're talking... Well, I mean, even mages would have a staff and shit to help them do stuff, but, like... Does anyone throw fireballs? Rise? Would it be Rise? He's like a traditional wizardy-esque guy. Cassio's not... Is she a mage? She's not a mage. Annie? I guess there's a few. I like tools of the trade. I like seeing characters be practical in what they have, you know? Like, again, Graves with a shotgun, TF with his cards, Gangplank with his Armada, with his, Flintlock with his blade. It's cool to see people put up a fight against eldritch abominations with, like, just their gear. Piltover in that regard is really cool. People who kind of took magic and, melded it with technology, and they can create all these crazy things while still being just regular people. Stuff like that's awesome. Everyone says Boba Fett's overrated, but if you think about Boba Fett, I mean, this dude is just getting on with his gear, right? He's got his jetpack, he's got his blaster, he has his fucking, his father's armor. Under all of it, he's just a dude with good gear. I mean, Iron Man is one of my favorites, if I had to go back and care about Marvel. That stuff is cool. So, Batman, Bane. There's a lot of, like, grounded characters who kind of use things that aren't really, like, genetically modified.